Hope Channel viewers are loyal, encouraging friends and neighbors to watch. Why? Our viewers believe that Hope Channel not only enhances living, but changes lives through its compelling lineup of programs. Documentaries take subscribers around the world and back through time, visiting places where history was made. Fascinating biographies open up the lives and times of people who made a difference. Travel programs transport the viewer around the world, demonstrating how people work together to make a better planet. Inspirational programming challenges viewers to experience the joy of discovering faith values and offer spirituality as an important part of a balanced lifestyle. Health and lifestyle programs teach disease prevention and make healthy living simple and attractive. Hope Channel programs provide invaluable support for developing healthy relationships and strong communities. Welcome to donor-supported Hope Channel.
The rush to make a decent living, coupled with a metropolitan lifestyle and ambitions, has actually helped reshape the traditional setup of our families. More and more of our children are actually left in the care of the non-parental family members. And of course, this now brings to the question of how can we address the developmental needs of our children so that they can become functional as well as responsible members of the society. And these needs are actually being hurdled and addressed worldwide by the different sectors of the society. Tonight in Dynamic Living the Total You, we have here a 60-minute episode on the early years, shaping the postmodern child. And of course, I am very much honored to have with me as my guests tonight. We have here, first of all, we have Attorney James Judith. Good evening sa imo, Attorney.
Good evening, Doc. Good evening po sa atong mga televiewers o sa atong tanan katawhan nga nakatutok bali sa Hope Channel.
Of course, and we have Miss April Alegrado. She's a sociologist and a reading specialist. Welcome to the show, April.
Good evening, Doc, and good evening to all the viewers of Hope Channel tonight.
And andito din po si Dr. Ruben Boboy Daba. Mayong gabi, sir.
Good evening, Doc. O good evening sa tanan nga nananaw din sa Hope Channel.
Yes, gwapo kaya ato ang discussion tonight because angkop na angkop siya. And we know for a fact that maraming mga kabataan ngayon, according to studies, no, actually there are around 57% of young children ages 0 to 8 who have no access to preschool, lalo na sa developing countries. Any comment on this?
Okay, first of all, I'm so excited and honored nga nakakuan ko diya sa ECCD Cagayan de Oro kay ang focus gyud sa atong mayor is education and health. So, ang iya yung gusto nga no children or child should be left behind. So karon grabe gyud among pagpalimbaso guban sa tanan nga mga CDT kay ang gitawag nato karon kay child development teachers naman na sila. So naningkamot sila karon with the help of atong mga education provider, number one, ang Xavier University. So, grabe ang among paningkamot nga, sakto itong imo, doktor, nga wala gyud untay mabilin nga bata. Kinahanglan gyud tanan gyud na ay access sa atong edukasyon din sa kuan.
Yes, and remember na these ages, 0 to 8, is the very foundation for their, learning later, as well as when we throw them to the regular schools, dapat maganda na yung background nila. Yes, April, how is it na, how come na today, it seems that there's a shift already na ang mga kabataan today are being brought to these child care centers where before, parang nasa bahay, ang nanay or ang tatay o si kuya o si ate ang nakatutok sa bata?
Well, you have to look at our history when it comes to that. Kasi there was really a time, like in the 1960s, when there was empowerment of women when they began to enter the workforce. So with that shift in society, the mother started to work, and now it's no longer just about empowerment of women, but there's also a necessity for women to start working.
Kasi kung si lalaki lang ang nagtatrabaho, hindi naman siguro magiging sapat yun para sa kanyang pamilya. Unless kagaya kay Attorney James na pwedeng buhayin kahit na 10 pamilya, di ba, Attorney? Ha?
Kanada ko. Di bitaw, ang nausap gid bitaw, Dok, pero tiyaw, no, kanang, sa karon manggod nga panahon, sakto to yung giingon nga, dili na pwede nga ang isa lang sa magtiayon ang magtrabaho, kung dili duha. Standard na siya karon. So, mo na nga tungod ana ang gakahitabo ang pangutana na din karon kung ang tutukan nato kung kinsa magbantay bata. So kasagara dayon na may uban nga labi nagaawat na nato ang uban nasod nga kultura. Dito intrigo nato sa dili nato ka pamilya. So ang gakahitaboan ni karon kay dili kagamay naman po ang atong pamilya kay tungod lagi kay parehas na ta sa uban nga nasod ang trend nato. Mo nahitabo pod nga ang balaod pod nag-adjust pod nga kinahanglan na ay pamaagi nga unsaon ni nato pagtutok sa developmental stages sa usa ka bata. Gani nagsugod ang daycare sa atong nasod 1964.
1964, ha? So, pero kami siguro, we weren't products of 1964. Sige, hindi pa.
Mas
Pero,
World War II siguro.
nagdidilang na sila ngayon ng edad natin. Letters, baka ikaw yun. Okay, Bambi, you know, si Attorney Hihi said na in 1964, daycare centers started. Pero you also mentioned na empowerment of women. Pero kanina, nabanggit mo din na yung mga batang yan, dati-rate, parang karamihan iniiwan sa yaya. Di ba? Sa mga katulong. So what happens at the time?
Well, actually, the problem now, when you leave your child with the yayas, of course, our yayas are also not trained. Okay, so they're also not educated. So what happens in the home setting, the tablet, the TV becomes the babysitter. So that really has an implication sa development of a child because the social interaction of the child is limited now to TV and tablet. So there are a lot of things that a child learns through human interaction. So limit his interaction to technology, the growth is really limited also. So we're talking about speech delays that can be because you learn language through talking with other people, not through tablets and TV, di ba? So recently also I observed because there's really touchscreen na. So it's very light to the touch, even the fine motor development of the child, and
It's
even the
not
gross
already developed.
because they're not running around and climbing, you know, all those things that we did when we were children. It's no longer happening with the children nowadays.
Ang ilang health sad makuan sa doc kanang stagnate bitaw kayo kanang gitawag nilang beer belly nga imagine bata pa
Okay, couch potato naman.
couch
Hindi naman
potatoes,
yan.
oo.
Or
Couch
veg lang sila,
potatoes,
katawagan
oo.
na, veg nila. So, unya, ang impresyon sa bata, matod pa, labi na ang, di ba, Doc, nga, so good 4 anyos pa ingon ni 9 anyos. Mo daw ng critical nga formative years
Actually,
sa bata.
0 to 8.
0 to 8 sa balaod.
Sa balaod.
Pero ang katugid kung unsa impression sa bata nga dala-dala niya sa pagtubo is magsugod ko no 4 pa ingon sa bebe. So mo tumadumduman ako to ilang istorya nga tungod kay limitado raman ang kon sa bata ang yaramang yaya. Ang iya kakatunan in English base pod sa yaya. So mo tong nay usa ka bata nga iyang in English pod naawat niya sa yaya nga I told you not to go to but you go to now look at. So gignan taka di ka mo adto dito mo adto gyud ko natanawa so literal
Literal kayo.
Kay base raman sad
So,
sa...
so it now, so
I
it
told you
becomes
not
a
to go to-
problem, di ba? So
Mo
it
lagi
becomes
kay
a
limitado
problem.
raman yun. Dili
So,
man yun
so
kato.
with this in mind kasi, we know already that in the highly industrialized countries, no, like the US, European countries, yung kanilang mga daycare centers, yung kanilang early
Yes.
childhood development centers
Yes,
are actually well in place already. And studies, yes.
Yeah, ganyan, Doc. That CDT comes in. Kasi ang CDT, we are focusing on 3 to 4 years old. So, from 0 to 3, baling sa mama yan. Pag abot yun mo sa 3 years old ka na mga toilet train, ana, we are also part, the CDT teachers also part of that. Kay kana siya, that's the very crucial stage of the development of the brain. Kay kung sakto to yun ni ma'am, kung i-expose na nimo in one aspect, like for example, on gadgets and everything, wala siya, like speech and everything. But in daycare, grabe na kaayo kay it is pattern at the UNICEF kanang ilang kuan sa nationwide, worldwide,
Worldwide,
gani.
yes.
Dayon, ang karon, ang nakagwapo karon kay because of our advent, the K to 12, di ba, bago naman karon, so murag upgraded naman ta, kuan ta, may ni apas ta sa atong mga silingan nga mga country. So karon ang CDT is focusing on the number 3, we are focusing on the mura siya og nursery. Pero we are not changing the curriculum of the UNICEF. Amo lang giayo, gidugangan para nga pagsulod sa bata sa K2, which is kanang K nila, ang K1 sa DepEd, ready na siya. Pwede na, dili na bitaw siya nga murag
So what you're trying to say, boy, parang it's a bridging, ano,
Yes, that's the word.
it's a bridging
Oo.
learning something, di ba? Pero yeah, they're talking now about the bridge between before a child enters school. So ang akong next question sa inyo will it not in any way hamper or affect, you know, the attachments of a child to his or her mother, kasi considering na sa mother man gyud na siya, na bringing them earlier to CDT. Let's ask muna si Bambi.
Well, this is based on the children I'm handling. So this is not based on scientific evidence, but just based on experience. When you bring a child too early to a learning institution, actually, they also develop, parang they don't like to go to school later on. Like last week, I just assessed a 4-year-old kid, and he will be entering kindergarten na. So at 4 years old, he's turning 5 in September pa. So he is really too young to be in kindergarten. Kasi 5 years old, he'll be in grade 1 na. But the problem was, his physical development is not yet appropriate for the demands of a kindergarten child. So the teachers were actually complaining, he's already very disobedient in class because he doesn't like to write. And all the other students, they're already writing, but he doesn't like to write. But the thing is, his fine motor development is not yet fully developed for him to
For
meet
his
the
age.
demands of the school. So we also have to consider that, kasi for example, you put the child in daycare at 3 to 4 years old, and then 4 years old, he enters kindergarten, correct? Or 5.
Oh, yeah.
5 years.
4.5 to 5.
Yeah. So we have to entertain the idea, is the child developmentally, physically ready for the demands of kindergarten? Kasi it may be that the teachers are demanding that you will write, letters already, and then the child achieves curved lines by 5 years old pa lang. So, how
So
can we...
there's this dilemma now on whether really how fitted it is, di ba? Pero yung sa child development training centers, different man siguro ang approach ani.
Yes,
So
Doc.
let's start with asking you muna, Dr. Boboy, how is the program per se?
The program really is like playing. So, ang naitabo agtong kuan magod, maybe because some school are not following our curriculum because we are following the DSWD which is also following the UNICEF. So, ang amo gyud Doc, more on playing, more on kanang identifying, so mga inana. So they love it in school. So sa akong pagtan-aw, gwapo kayo. And
In
then,
other words, it's more of a trying, yeah, it's supposed to be fun and play. So you're trying to develop now the social skills. Kasi di ba, isa sa problems ng mga kabataan is to be able to integrate as a social being, di ba? So in the daycare centers that you're trying to espouse, you're trying to develop their social skills also.
Oo. And then so karon na among ikuan ana is katong ingon imo bridging. So we are really trying so hard, the teachers and the Xavier University, they are what we call education provider. So ang ilang kuan nga gwapo gyud ang bridging, so that when the child reaches the 5-year-old, which is the kinder 2, dili na siya nga
Disoriented.
like for me, I started grade 1 without kinder and whatsoever. Pag sulod yun ako sa grade 1, what I did is cry, and then I don't get inside. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. Kay ang ako mga classmate, they already know how to read, they already know everything. Kay grade 1 na good sila. Una ako giagi sa akong mama og papa og kinder kay wa lagi naanad nga sa ilang panahon sa una grade 1 diretso. Daw bay pagsulod na ko sa grade 1 kay na-memorize naman ako ang alphabet. So naka-answer na ko ang alphabet. Unya gasigi kog tanaw ka ng mga 3-letter words, so balon akong cat, ana. So, the teacher really think na, kaya na nako. Katura man akong ilakay, memorize ko gyud. So, i-change nimo ang color, butangan nimo mouse, imbis cat ang sulat. Pagbasa nako cat, kay, bali, cat, then butang nimo dog, ang pagbasa nako cat.
Cat pa rin.
Kay ang picture cat man. Kay gi-memorize ko man ang picture. So ang CDT lain ang ilang approach. Ang ilang approach more on playing, then first ilang i-test basta on October 6 they are trying again now with Madam Flory and Marge Trinidad. They're having a parang workshop. So ilang ikuan gyud nga ang mga bata and teachers should be equipped on that bridging, yung bridging mo
Kasi
daw.
the word
very
there is
crucial.
actually, yeah, it's very crucial. Kay even with you as a reading specialist, you would see na you would have more difficulty siguro unless nakaagi sila ana ang mga
Yes,
kabataan.
Yes, kasi ano din, there are, because I deal more with special kids, so I deal really mostly with dyslexic children. So, can you imagine a 13 or a 7 years old kid supposed to be in grade 1 but cannot even recognize the alphabet? So if they are equipped at an early stage already, exposed already to that, instead of, staying at home, playing tablets and watching TV, so it will be better for
then,
them.
Doc, there's a study, Doc, in 1960 in a high school Perry School in Michigan. So bali 123 ka African Americans. So they study it na ilang gi-expose sa preschool, which is the daycare, ilang gi-base, no, gikuan nila daycare. After 27 years,
Gi-follow up nila.
Gi-follow up nila. So pagtanaw nila sa 10 lugar ka tao, sa 10 nga ana. So ang 7 ana nag-agi gyud, ang 3 wala. Katong 7 successfully passed the college. Kung wala sila nag-abot sa college, they manage their finances well, they manage their family well.
Well, kasi Manggod, if you really notice, the objective of this daycare training centers actually is to help the students to become self-sufficient and
Yes,
independent.
oo,
Di ba, attorney?
independent.
Parang maturuan sila to be on their own.
Holistic approach lagi nga. Ang tuyo po sa sayo pa bali edad sa bata, ma-win out na nimo siya sa iyang mga ginikanan. Dili pwede nga ikado lang nimo nga diha ra gyud sa balay. So mo na ang katuyuan gani sa atong dinhi lang daan sa atong tagbayan, kung mahuman balik ka moagi ka sa daycare, na kay dawaton nga certificate mo to imong gamiton para pag-enroll bali sa
K1.
kindergarten.
Sa kindergarten.
Mo na to siya.
Sa mainstream.
Mao na to. Kung sulod na ka bali sa mainstream, kung bali.
So,
Mo to imong passport.
Yeah. So, kumbaga, dili na kinahanglan daghan pagkuhan kay that one will already make you be acceptable.
Correct. Oh,
Kumbaga,
mo na
mo na
to.
to imong kuhan
Mo na
mo. So, I'll ask Bambi. Bambi, being a sociologist now, let's talk about the sociology of this all. Would you say na, heto kasi may mga studies na rin that's trying to prove na putting our children at the very early age, you know, instead of leaving them in the house, bringing them to the daycare centers, would you say na it will still require more studies for us to really definitely say na heto it will be beneficial, or right now with the needs, you know, generation nato karon, there is really a need for this.
Yeah, I think we cannot, it's like we cannot not use technology because it's there. We cannot get away from our current situation wherein the homes, the moms are actually working. So, like for me, I'm a mom. I would rather leave my child with qualified teachers in a daycare rather than leave them with their yayas and learn nothing, diba? Unless, of course, you have a graduate yaya, which rarely happens. So, but of course, the best design is really for the parents to care for the children. But since with the changes in our society, we don't have that luxury anymore unless you're married to a millionaire, diba? But in a developing country like ours, where most of the people are employed, both have to work. And so it is really important that we have an institution that we can trust, who will take care of that will take care of our children. So,
Which is very important, no? That's a very important point. And siguro that's the reason why the government, hand in hand with the private sectors, has come up with this. So, so giunsa man ni siya, attorney nga, na naman ni siya, 1960s ingon ka. So, karon mura gi-enhance lang siya or gi-strengthen lang siya?
1964, nasugod ang concept sa daycare sa Pilipinas, pero wala pa yung mga balaod in place. So, na-formalize na gid ang balaod, nagsugod 1990. Mo ng RA 6972.
Nga naman nga kinahanglan og balaod siya, attorney?
Kay para gid ka mapatuma, kinalan man gid ta og kanang implementing mechanism. Ilisod man nga sing iyarta wala tay gabayan, wala tay basihanan nga balaod. So motong 1990 nagsugod na ay giplaster nga balaod sa daycare. Mo nang RA 6972. Dan kadugayan din sa mga 2000 na dayon na din tong RA 8980 para pag gipaluag pagid ang concept sa daycare. So muna nga karon nga bagong balaod ang governing karon ang RA 10141. So holistic na ang approach.
Which means?
Meaning tanan multisectoral, dapat mo ni tutukan sa bata nga ang unsa ang funding sa kaning bag-o nato nga balaod. Gani sa bag-o nga balaod, ang gobyerno gimanduan labi na ang pagkor nga maghatag ayuda og 500 million sa kanang kada tuig. Sugod sa implementation
to support
since
this
2013.
daycare. So paano ang kuana niya? So the concept is already there, the framework is already there. It's now a matter of implementation.
Correct.
And who can how do we implement that? When we we will take a very short break, and when we return, we will continue on discussing a very interesting topic here. And if you have actually questions, you can call or text on the numbers, you know, are being shown in your TV monitors. We'll take a very short break.
Para sa imo, ma'am, unsa ka importante nga makaagi gyud og daycare or preschool ang atong kabataan usa pa mag grade 1?
Well, of course, nindot man gyud kaayo nga makaagi gid sila og kanang kinder. Pero ang ako lang pod unta sa ako lang panghuna-huna nga ang kanang sa kinder is only for exposure alang sa mga kabataan. Not necessarily gyud nga makahibalo sila pagbasa, kahibalo sila pagsulat, ana bitaw. Kay lisod man gud kaayo nga ato gyud pugson gyud ang mga kabataan.
Ang preschool, ang daycare, karong panahon na, importante na kay alang sa tong kabataan. Pareha na ko nga amahan, nakita na ko ang kaimportante sa daycare o preschool. Aron ang mga bata, maandad na sila daan sa pag-adto sa eskwelahan. Dili na sila makuyawan unsay eskwelahan ug unsa pod ang ilang makatunan nga tuwa sila sa eskwelahan.
Sa una pa, sa ako mga anak, di jud ko muuyo na preskulahon sila ng kuan pa sila kanang preschool kay ngano mas may manggod na ma-develop sa ang tanang faculties niya. Sabi na ang eyesight, ang hearing, ang kanyang speech, ma-develop sana siya bago unta maka-eskwela kay mas dali sila maka-grasp. Parang usahay kung eskwela sila na wala pa nahibalaan bisag mabasa o magsulat, mahimo silang burden sa mga teachers pod o mag-lag behind sila na makahimo maka-lower sa ilang self-esteem.
Importante gid kaayo kay kung dili sila makaagi mabihay ng atong anak. Labi na gid kung wala nato sila ginataag time sa balay. But actually, we can make our children kanang mahimo sila nga bright. Kita nga parents makahimo ta. Pero kung busy kaayo ta, maigi sila ipadala sa preschool kay number 1 ana ilang socialization. Unya kung ang lahi biya ang impact sa teacher o sa parents pod.
Sa unang mga panahon, wala naman ng daycare. Nya, o kanang religiously teach by the mother ang mga children sa house. I think it's no need for daycare centers or daycare o mga preschool nga mga bata. As long nga ang mga mama, mutudlo lang yun kay ang pagdala sa eskwelahan at that age, very risky. Ikaduha, ang mga bata, kanang gusto pagyug kaayo nga ma-attach kaayo sa parents. Nganong iadto pa man nato sa preschool kung ang mama maayo gyud kaayo nga moatiman sa ilang mga kabataan sulod sa puloy-anan.
Para sa ako, I don't think that going into daycare is really an advantage to our children because that I have 2 sons and they did not have the opportunity of going into daycare, but they went into elementary immediately. But the result is still very good because I found out that letting our children go into school when they are already ready academically or receptive into the lessons in the academics is more important than having that daycare system. It's the readiness of your children that count most.
Welcome back to Dynamic Living, the Total You, with our episode, The Early Years, Shaping the Postmodern Child. And of course, I still have with me Attorney James, Miss April, and Dr. Buboy. So, narinig ninyo yung interview kanina. So, how would you interact and react to the answers?
You could really see the difference sa age, no? For those who are actually from the older generation, the concept of child daycare centers is not very welcome. Yeah. But for those of us na medyo bata-bata, we would really prefer that there is a daycare center for our children. So like we were talking a while ago, it's really because the moms were in the house, diba? They had the time to teach their children, okay? But nowadays, most of the mommies really don't have that luxury anymore.
But
so,
it does not really mean actually, siguro yung ibang iniisip nila na, are you going to leave everything behind, you know, to leave it with the daycare center? Hindi naman ganon. Kasi just like in school, di ba, magkaakibat yan eh, hand in hand, the teachers, the daycare takers, including you pagdating sa bahay, di ba? It so happened lang na kailangan lang for certain number of hours para ma-develop yung child, di ba? Kasi holistic nga ang approach. Now, balikan natin kanina, attorney, you were mentioning laws already, Republic Act number so and so. So, let's go into the implementation. Paano, sino ang mag-i-implement ng mga batas na yan?
Ang gobyerno. Ang gobyerno, ang gitahasan gid mismo, ang kanimong god nga aspeto nakabutang sa DSWD sa national nga level. So sa kada LGU dayon ang CSWD or kung sa munisipyo ang ilang municipal pod nga level nga Social Welfare and Development Office. So unya sa bago bali nga balaod kinalan walay limit sa pandemic, pwede na ay private participation. So dili lang ingon nga gobyerno, kundi pwede wala gibawal sa gobyerno. Ang importante lang gani nga masugdan gid ang programa gani gitahasan ang pagkor. Ako nagisulti sa unahan nga na ay ayuda ang pagkor kay para gid nga mo take off ang kani nga programa. So ako nagingon kaniya 1964 ni nasugdan. So ang concept wala pag formal nga balaod nga nag-implementar na kundi nasugdan lang. So private initiative to sa una napoy depende pod sa mga LGU sa una kung ilang ga-implementar.
Pero sa ato karon dinhi sa ato sa Cagayan de Oro. Let's talk about Cagayan de Oro muna. Yes, Dr. Boboy. What about Cagayan de Oro?
Sa Cagayan de Oro, I'm so I'm so pleased kay from a private citizen, so nakasulod ko ani nga ko natagaan kong panahon nga magserbisyo sa ila. So when I was exposed to it, grabe gyud kay tanan. We are really lag behind Cagayan de Oro. We have only 167 CDT as kanang Child Development Center, and then among mga teachers grabe di pa gyud kay sila, ang uban dili accredited kay I know na ang DSWD i-accredit yun ang mga teachers. So, ang atong mga teachers, dili ka-accredit kay number 1, walay mga facilities. Number 2, tungod sa mga political kanang pang-considered, nga gipangsulod kay mga kumpari ni kumari ni
Which actually brings me to the next question. Siyempre, there should be qualifications,
yes,
diba?
Yes.
So, let's start muna with April. Yung qualifications dapat, do you think na heto ang primary na dapat kailangang i-consider when one is, setting up hetong mga daycare centers, whether it's government or it's private?
Of course, because we are talking about the formative years of the child. We cannot, give our children to people, to teachers who are not equipped in understanding them physically, their physical development, their emotions at that time, because we will actually wreck the child if we are not trained. Because we don't know, what if a child throws a tantrum? Because that's so typical of a 3 to 4 year old kid. What are you gonna do? Will you embarrass the child in front of all the classmates? You have to know how to deal with these behaviors. Because we're not just talking about academics here. We're talking about the holistic development of the child.
Which actually also brings us to mind na kailangan, aside from them being equipped to develop these children holistically, these teachers also should be trained to be able to detect kung may problems yung bata at that age, di ba?
Yes.
Pero gingon na lagi, Doc, ganihan ni Dr. Daba, di naana karon sa implementation sa kada LGU. Para gingon ni Dr. Daba, spoils of kanang war ba? So kay bag-on na lain na sa nakadaog, ang usually iyang premyo to niya sa iyang mga leaders. So gakitabo dili nila tumanon kung unsay nasa balaod. Actually kompleto ta. Sagad ta sa balaod og sa kanang framework. Ang kulang lang nato daghan gid maartikulo ana ang implementation.
So muna karon Doc, we really implemented on that. So grabe na kay tanan ang atong mga teachers ato nagi-upgraded. So tanan education, tanan graduate of education, any kuan nga education, and then we have one but graduate of nurse. Under board siya sa BSN. So nagyapon siya mga kuan gyapon sa 3 to 4. So muna karon ang atong kuan sa mga teachers din muto na increasean nato sila, Doc. So sadly kay murag gigamit magyapon ang politika. So ang among budget which is 9 million. So grabe kayo, that includes the additional 8 ka daycare. Siguro mga 6 ka rehab daycare. All of this giwala ilang gikuha tanan gitangtang nila ang among mga budget. Even ang sweldo sa mga teachers ilang
So what happens now? So in effect, that's the problem with the government side of it. That is where the private sector comes in, di ba? Itong mga daycare centers ng mga private sectors come in because they're able to answer unsay kulang dito sa government. But the thing there is, remember also na the mentality of people is this, very basic. if I am poor, if I cannot afford, or if I'm a government employee, chances are I will send my kid, my child, to a daycare center of the government. No, kasi I cannot afford, di ba? Samantalang kung ako naman medyo hindi naman sapian, kundi you're a nurse or maybe you're a teacher and then you can well afford to pay the private, so you bring there, di ba? So there's inequality now.
No. Sa lagi na karon, we are really trying in Northern Mindanao in terms of infrastructure, in terms of education, yung mga school building, in terms of health, kita gid ang lag behind Cagayan de Oro. So karon we are speeding up. Atong hospital na level 2 na. Ang atong mga schools, it's like mushrooms, daghan kaayo. Then ang CDT karon, ang kuan is also leveling up. So ang among gibuhat karon, we give them continuing education para ang mga teachers dili sa unang panahon manggod sa ilang sa unang lugar, ang ilang kuan is ang ilang ipadala nga teachers isa lang duha, then they call it echo. So katong duha ka teachers mo echo sa 167. My goodness, lisod kayo. So karon ang gibuhat gid karon sila tanan. We are so blessed that Xavier University helping us. So sila yung nag-agto gid dito, and then we are encouraging all the all na apatay two remaining universities to join us, to help us, and all the private sectors help us.
In terms of student-teacher ratio, how are you addressing this? Kasi let me ask muna si April. April, di ba, it's very important that as much as possible, meron din kasing studies yan At this certain age group, ilang bata lang ang hahawakan ng isang facilitator or teacher, di ba? Kasi it will impact on the quality of training and education na ibibigay mo dun sa bata.
Yeah, actually we're talking about around 10 to 15 students, and you have to be provided with an assistant also. Kasi what if the kid needs to pee or already peed? Because we have to think that they're not yet toilet trained during this time.
Yes.
That's why in CDT, in city government Cagayan de Oro, we are basing on the DSWD. Ang DSWD 1:30. And then
Hindi ba masyadong marami yun? Ang 1:30.
Yeah.
One teacher to 30 children. Kasi we call them children pa. Dahil masyado silang mga bata pa. You know, it's a handful for one to handle. At the ages of 3 to 5, medyo mabigat yata yun sa isang tao lang. Kasi from my readings, siguro these are models from UNICEF, from other countries, no, na more developed than us, na 1:5 siya at a certain age group. But as you go higher up, you go 1:7. Kaya yung tinanong kita kasi like you're a reading specialist, you handle special children and with special needs. Now, di ba kayo, you need to be able to make tutok kasi kaya kailangan konti lang bawat isang teacher.
In my case, when it's really a kid with special need, I do one-on-one. I will never group a special kid with other special kids, because that's why you call it special education, because their education is tailor-fit to the needs of the child. So that's why we do one-on-one. I have a group of 5. I'm opening actually a reading program for 5 kids only, but I'm limiting it to 5 kids, and these are typically developing children, because I believe that the less number that you have in your class, the more quality that you can give, and you can detect if there is a problem, diba? Whereas if it's like 10 or even 15 or 30 students for that matter, you can never really see who has a problem.
Yes, yun yung binibring up ko sa iyo, Dr. Bugoy, na if you have 1:30, no matter how much well-trained itong teacher na to or facilitator, pero with so many children there at one time.
Doc, we have to consider number one, si ma'am, ang sinasabi niya, yung mga, I think, mentally challenged. If you're mentally challenged, that's good, 1:1. Pero we are talking about normal, very enthusiastic, very eager to learn.
Kaya nga, di mas delikado yun, kasi magrarambol yun.
Pero Doc, in DSWD, 1:30, but we also encourages what our mayor always said to us, teamwork. It's a teamwork between the parents and the teachers, and meron pa tayong barangay health workers, meron pa tayong barangay nutrition scholars, meron pa tayong mga nurse na from they also checking on us, because CSWD or ECCD are correlated with a lot. Yung sa health, yung sa AFP, yung ang dami-daming relation. In fact, we mention it like Department of Education, we have the Health, the Nutrition Council, the Union of Authorities in the Philippines, and so on.
So the kind of staffing that you have, sabihin natin 1:30 and well-trained na ito sila ngayon because you are trying to level up now.
level up.
For now, mubagay
For now,
siya.
In
mabagay
Cagayan
siya.
de Oro lang
Opo,
yan,
in
Dok.
Cagayan de Oro. We're talking about Cagayan de Oro.
Yeah, we are so proud to tell that na
Kaya na. Kaya
first time niya, yung bridging, yung sinasabi mo, it's still first in Cagayan de Oro. In fact, during the time na nagpadala na kami, we are trying to make a letter in DepEd na kung pwede yun, dili na gyud sila mudawat without agi gyud sa daycare or bisag dili daycare like sa private sa kay ma'am. Kaya ang tendency luoy gyud kay bata kay sa karon sa DepEd karon Dok na sila gitawag step up or speed up. Ang ilang buhaton kung wala gyud giagi tanan nga 5 years old pagsulod bombarded nila in 6 months. Imagine.
How can a child absorb so much?
Yes.
Kaya mas marami tayo tuloy, mas marami tayong dysfunctional children.
Yes.
Because of maybe we have to review, go back to how much we should be giving them only. Yes.
Actually, it's also a matter of method and approach. Because, like, going back to the kids that I deal with, I'm dealing with children who are learning disabled. So, but then, since I shared with you a while ago that I'm specifically trained in a reading approach that's multisensorial, so we don't just use visual auditory, but you utilize kinesthetic and tactile. But in my observation, even the kids with difficulties, provided with the right approach, like I have a
They
kid,
will be able to,
yes, like I have a kid, just an example, who started with me in October 2013. He was 5 years old, does not know the alphabet, cannot blend sounds. It took me 10 sessions just to get him to read 3-letter words. Okay, I was frustrated actually. Okay. But then finally on the 10th session, he began to blend. He graduated kindergarten this year and ended up top 2 in class. So as you can see, provided with the right method and approach in teaching the children, even if like you will bombard them, but it is a logical, sequential manner in teaching the child, you can achieve a lot.
Which actually is what we should be able to train our facilitators, di ba? Lalo, kasi yan man yung target natin, di ba? Aside from teaching the children, we should be able to detect kung merong mga disabilities. So, yung ating mga CDTs na we're talking about and we're very proud na we have in Region 10, what about yung mga children with disabilities? So, what do we do with them? Are we referring them somewhere else?
Okay.
Are they included pa rin in the general population?
Okay, Doc. As of now, I'm so siguro blessed gyapon kayo nga we have a partner ang Northern Mindanao Medical Center ang ilang pedya. So they sent already doctors teaching the CDT kay ang daycare center karon gatawagon na natog child development teachers. So murag social na kay pamation.
Dili na daycare center.
Dili na daycare.
Kasi pagka daycare center para bang
Child
iniwan
Development
lang.
Center na.
Ito na, Child Development Centers na.
So, ang kanang mga doctors, ilan ang gitudluan ang bata how to detect. How to detect lang. Pag na-detect nila and everything, they have to refer it to MMMC or kay Dr. Aliego or kinsa to sila. Then, for them to realize. Pero ang dream yun ako, I'm sure, dream sad sa everybody, nga naagi tayo facilities for that. Naagi certain idea nga, yes, na-identify nimo. Then what? What will happen kung na-identify? Then who will pay?
Yes.
Naaba mo'y doktor, naaba mo'y SPED, naaba mo'y anak. So, gwapo gina nga naagit kay facility nga mo continue kay
para dili bitaw ingon nga bungkig kayo, di ba?
Pero para nagingon na, pero we will get to that gyapon nga punto ra gyapon Doc no. Importante na sugdan na namo na anay mekanismo ang sa ato ang ato dinhi dakbayan. Ang pangutana lang siguro unsay sunod bali nga lakang. Pero nakasugod na ang kagayan gani Kusab itong number 2 ta nga competitive city sa tibok Pilipinas. Kay apil baya ni nga component sa criteria sa gibasihan sa
So,
kunsay competitive
what about
city.
heto ngayon, let's talk about the profile of those who enroll in the CDCs, no, sa centers heto nga for daycare, di ba? Developments nato. So, kinsa ang inyong mga profile ani? I mean, syempre, you are already very much actively involved here, Attorney James and Dr. Boboy. So, ano ang profile ng mga students ninyo, ng mga enrollees? Are these coming from the low-income strata? O heto ba yung naghati-hati, merong mga can afford, meron namang mga hindi maka-afford na pinagsama-sama? Because I will have a follow-up question after that. Yes.
Okay. For me, Doc, I was exposed really to 1 and 2. Lately, I give it to James sa 2, then ako sa 1. Kaya di naman mo makover tanan ni James. So, tunga-tunga mi. So, ang akong nabantayan, kung asa siya nga barangay, for example, Carmen, very progressive, dako kayo, anana. Kadaghana, nasa middle and low. So, nasa mga middle class o sa low. But when you say about like, Tumpagon, Pigsagan, mga lagyo kay nga mga mga kuan kayo, makita gid mo nga naagit sila sa not so middle but nagit sa low. Pero they are really grabe kaayo ka mga kuan nga bata nga eager to learn. Muna si Mayor ingon gid siya, wala gid bata nga mabilin. Kinahanglan no kid should be left behind. Kinahanglan i-reach gid nato kay anugon gid kaayo.
You know, the reason why I asked that question, April, is very simple. Because, you see, sometimes, Manggod, ang problem nato sa atong education is biased. When we say biased, it's more of, there's this mentality again, Pinoy mentality, na yung mga anak ng mga may kaya, when they go to school, whether it's private or government, what happens they parang nauuna sila. Naglalag behind yung mga nasa low socio-economic strata. But then again, there's the bridging Heto yung ulit na papasok tayo. Bakit pinopromote natin yung yung child development centers? Because it's supposed to bridge whatever economic status you are in pagdating sa education.
But then again, sakto gingon ni Dr. Daba, Doc, no, nga, amo magibahin good ni Dr. kay di na mo madala tanan. So, ang iya first district, ako ang second district. So, mag-agad sa demographics. Unsa ba ang economic value nga indicator? Unsa ba gina nga barangay? So, sa amo, daghan man po dagko nga mga barangays. Napay mga numbered barangays nga.
Sa ila.
Daghan lugar matawag nato nga arang-arang nga barangay. O, yan na yung mga barangay nga, wala kayo mga residente, puro ra mga commercial nga mga area. So, makaya nila ganin ay numbered barangay sa ako nga district, second district nga sapian kay mas dako ilang ihatag nga counterpart sa barangay sa
city government. So in other words, they are really supportive of this endeavor.
Exactly. Correct.
So paano 'yun? Paano natin ang nito? What do we teach our children in these day centers?
Number 1, dapat walay politiking in teaching. Ayaw, kuwaagin ang pagkapolitiko, kay ang naitabo, luoy kay ang mga bata. This is the future, kagayan di oro. So kung imo nang ikuan nga, politics, kay wala ka na kuan sa ako, dili, useless. Ay, hawa na lang. Ayaw na lang kuan.
So, pero standardized ang inyuhang materials na ginahatag sa tanan nga mga day centers. In other words, from District 1 to District 2, level na siya. So, pagdating sa mga materials like for reading, like for comprehension, like for social skills, lahat yan sila. Pare-pareho sila.
Pare-pareho. And then, we are so lucky, Doc, kay kanang naitabo karon sa mga teachers, tungod kay it's the first time nga naka-experience sila nga gitutukan gid kay sila. So sila sa na-encourage to really do their best. Kana ra ba sila, Doc? Grabe kay na sila, Doc. They are only not teachers, ma'am. Pero during calamity and everything, munang gakwaon iadto dito sa disaster area, sila ang magman. Then kung in case of kanang na ay sunog and everything, sila na biyaan na nila ilang pamilya, then go there. Unya maluoy ka sa ila kay mo lagi na politiking inanaon bitaw sila, every time nga naibago mataranta sila, every time nga kuan maana sila. So muna mo ginang gikuan gid ni Mayor nga i-focus ana nila, and also this barangay health workers o kanang barangay nutrition scholar, they are the gitawag nato og unrecognized heroes nga kinahanglan gyud itap og i-develop.
Pero if you are to compare the day centers that are being, placed there by the government, no? Kasi, syempre, nag-implement naman ta karon, no? If we compare that with a private day center, how would you say there's going to be a marked difference or hindi talaga? Ikaw, April.
Well, realistically, there is really a difference because when you, like in my case, I have a therapy center. I fund it. I would, since it's my passion, I really want to help these children, then as best as I can, I provide the right facilities. I go through trainings in my own expense, and no one is politicking me about
That's
it.
good.
So that's the difference.
Yes.
And I'm sure aircon pa gid na.
Definitely.
I do hope, ma'am,
I'm
you
sure
share
aircon
that
pa
with
na.
us. You share that with CSWD and the CDT.
But of course, we are not saying that the child daycare centers will not be of quality. There are just challenges that has to be
Yes.
overcome.
We come to the
Yes.
challenges. Oo. So, bago ikaw magsagot ng challenges na yan, sa iyo kaya, Dr. Buboy, ano kaya ang mga challenges meron pa ang CDT ngayon?
A lot, ma'am. Because there's still a lot of kids that have not been reached. Like for example, sa katong mga lagyo kayo, guba man ang dalan. So that's why kanang dalan gahimuon gina gapaspason gyud farm to market roads kay ang uban one time nakaagto kay akong makaagto magi ko tumpagon. In fact, hapit gyud ko na disgrasya sa tumpagon kay nagtagbo. Tumpagon gyud. Pero gwapo na kay karon kay makita nimong bata dito gabaklay siya lain yang sinina, baklay siya so among gipasakay. Pag-abot dito sa area, siya na siguro mga 3, almost 4. Siya nagabaklay siya. Pag-abot dito, ilis din siya. So, gibutang niya ang kwan. Iko nga, kung sa mga kay oras mahawa sa imong house, siya sa balay, hindi siya nga, mga alas 5, sir, kay ang ilang oras ba, kay alas 8. Iko, ha? Pila man ay kakwan? Hindi siya nga, maabot ko din ni sir, mga 7:30. Iko, oh my God, ka oras. Ha? Kalayo, good kaayo.
And at that young, ha? And very excited to attend, di ba?
Unang sayang kay Doc, mo gina ang you're talking about
Challenges, yes.
If dili sa lugar ko ha, I'm not so kuan because I'm not here kanang unsay ngalan ani pero our government, the local government now is really trying its best. Kung agto ka dito sa Pigsagan, Doc, grabe na ang siminto.
So in other words, one of the challenges which is actually infrastructure is being the access, yes, is actually being addressed slowly but surely. What about you, Attorney James? What are the other challenges na you can see about these development centers natin?
Katugi, nasulti na ni Doc. Ang amo lang nga, implement na balaod regardless kung kinsa bali ang maligsan. Ang problema magud kay naamagod ang politikus kuan pa ang kulturas politika
so dapat tanggalon nato
tanggalon na nato kay mo may makababag mo na nga i-withhold ang funding kay maglampos ng ning administrasyon dili nila gatanawon nga ang ato ang mga bata man ang mga ginikanan man gyapon magapaymusan pero dili kay ang padlantaw bali sa uban kay laing mga tungkol
so in other words
gubaon.
It's more of the challenge that we are faced with today is more of how we will be able to sustain it because our children are very valuable. So dapat i-prioritize nato siya. So siguro, conviction sa mga tao, commitment and dedication.
Correct.
Whatever, whoever you are.
Kaya naalaman, Dok, plasyado naman. Kaya ako, Dok, makasingit lang. Ako, kay late 70s man ko, nakapahimulos mo ko sa daycare. Ako, mapasigarbon nga musulti.
Product of daycare.
Product ko sa daycare sa Barangay Nazareth. Kisa may magdom nga mabugado day ko nga daycare man ko nagsugod sa Nazareth. Pero wala nagtanaw kung sa imong asa kang hotong sa katilingban. Kaya abogado magyapon ko.
Yes.
Akong
and mayo nga abogado.
Dili man nadunan ako maginikanan. Bahala na nga punga kang sampot. Ang ila matuman ang ambisyon. Nga abogado. Pero wala dili babag kung asa ang akong kaginikanan. Nga daycare ko, dili ko private.
Dili ra. Because that should be removed from our vocabularies. What about you, April? What do you think are the challenges pa that the daycare centers now are faced with?
Yeah, they already mentioned naman the political challenge, no? So, I think the greatest challenge on the education side is to really not just equip, but, equipping, give a talk and all those, it doesn't assure that they actually know how it's going to be done inside the classroom. So there has to be a continuous training and then supervision that what we dream of, what we are thinking of, what we are envisioning inside the daycare center is actually happening. Because, diba, theory will be different from practice. And this is what I learned, that because I do train my teachers also, I have to continually supervise them to check them that they are doing it right.
In other words, monitoring is very important.
Exactly.
Here, there must be a monitoring tool. Pero the thing there is also added to that, no, is actually, ang mahalaga siguro talaga, yung ating mga providers dun sa daycare centers should be well equipped.
Yes.
Babalikan natin yan. They are really, really equipped. And dapat passion nila yon.
Exactly, Doc.
Kasi kung wala silang passion noon, mahirap kaya alagaan yung mga ganyang edad, di ba? Oo.
Yes,
So
Doc.
yun yung ano. So what can the community do to help our daycare centers? So doon na tayo pupunta ngayon. So andun na yung challenges. So doon naman tayo, what can we sa community do to be able to help na mag-prosper yan, mag-progress yan? What about Dr. Buboy?
Okay, marami yun talaga, Doc. If I had my way and telling them, siguro, if they going to give me like 2, kulang ang 2. Sa ako, siguro 20. So, I'll mention 2. Number 1 is ang ilang health. So, I do hope nga naa sila yung mga, ang government karon na magita yung mga shots tanan. So, libre naman na siya. Ang akong kuan, like, kanang mga vitamins, kanang mga inana, bitaw, mga supplementary. And then, ang ako ding focus is kanang feeding. Kaya itong feeding karon na political gihapon. So, pait yun, kaayog yun. Pait kay tanan. So, muna na, ang duha lang.
So in other words, the community can actually help through these ways, no? O sa imo, attorney, paano makatabang ang komunidad karon para ani sa ating mga CDTs nato?
Kahit nato sila multi-sectoral approach. Pero pinakauna gid importante nga ang mo alayong Doc ang mga ginikanan man. Kinal aktibo ang PTA sa kana nga eskwelahan. Okay, naya ko naibawan nga mga daycare centers nga among gitagaan og recognition ang maginikanan kay aktibo. Kay tungod kay aktibo ang ilang maginikanan, mas nindot, mas maayo ang ilang programa. Nakita nako sa pagsuri-suri lugar namo ni Dr. Daba sa ako sa second district, ang katong mga barangay nga nindot ang ilang programa kay tungod may ang mga ginikanan
very
aktibo,
supportive.
And very among gitagaan og recognition. So di ako nabantay kinahikayato na to mga ginikanan nga aktibo sa PTA sa unsa man nga concern sa kana nga.
Yes, what about April? How can the community help?
Actually, agree gid kayo kay Attorney Doc because ang collaboration gyud sa parents o teachers, wala gi mo pildian ang collaboration man. At the end of the day, that is a daycare center. But these children are our children. It is our primary responsibility to take care of them. It is not possible na ihatag na lang nato tanan sa daycare center.
Even in a regular school, di ba?
Yes.
Dapat ang parents should also take a very active role. Then the last question that I asked the three of you would you be sending your children, if given the chance, no, to a daycare center?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sending them starting this June.
And you?
Sa karon nga panahon,
Labi
Yes.
na karon nga daycare.
pero sa una nga panahon dili. Kato lang ako man exempted lang to siya kung inana pagsalig sa gobyerno. Sa karon nga panahon yes.
Okay. Napakabilis po ng oras ko dito sa Dynamic Living the Total You. Napakaganda na aming discussion here. Helping our children to shape them into who they are and what they will become in the future. I'd like to thank my guests. Dr. Buboy, what would you like to tell our viewers?
Okay, Cagayan de Oro, thank you so much. If you want to help CDT, please do drop by CSWD. We are really happy and we will accommodate you to whatever things you want to help us. Thank you so much and good night.
Okay, April?
Sa mga taga Cagayan, I'm really encouraging all of you, parents and teachers, to really collaborate in developing our children because as what Dr. Daba said a while ago, they are the future Cagayanons.
Yes. And Attorney James?
Ubayon lang ako akong gisulti ganiya Dr. padayon nato pagikayat sa mga ginikanan nga suportahan ang atong daycare. Pasaligan lang gid mi sa enroll ninyo inyong mga anak, inyong mga kabataan sa daycare. Kaya among pasalig sa inyo sa amo sa lokal nga pagagamanan, padayon kami magtutok og among pangitaag pamaagi nga ipalambo ang atong daycare centers dinhi sa atong dakbayan.
Yes, and remember, dear viewers, that the foundation actually starts as young as they are, and the formative years are very important. There is no question about that. The developmental milestones, are very important also in training them into who they are and what they will become. In Proverbs 22:6, we are already enjoined that We are to train our children in the way they should go so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. Magandang gabi po sa ating lahat.
Ang pag-ampo para nako aron adunay kaluwasan ng akong kalag.
Para nako ang pag-ampo bililhon hadol ka sa permis sa Ginoo. O kanunay kang nagtimaan sa iyang dako nga kasing-kasing kung wala siya wala kay mahimo.
Siyempre mag-ampo ka para matagaan ka og jutayng grasya o dako bang grasya.
Ang para sa ako, ang pag-ampo, it's a relationship between God and the human. That's the only time nga makahatag ka og thanks sa Ginoo og kanak mo siya sana siya nga makapalambo sa imua as a person because
adunay gahom sa pag-ampo. Sa Let's Pray Cagayan de Oro, may kauban ka. Matag Lunes, Miyerkules ug Biyernes alas 6 sa buntag. Let's Pray Cagayan de Oro, where you don't need to pray alone. Uban sa imong prayer partner, Hope Channel.
To me, the joy, which money cannot buy.
And very hospitable, and most of all, big part of your operation.
Dynamic Living returns with new episodes, now on Mondays, 6 to 7 p.m. Dynamic Living, the total you, on Mondays.